Magandang gabi, Pilipinas. Good evening, fellow Filipinos. Good morning and good afternoon to the other participants from the other parts of the world who are with us for tonight's session. Welcome to the IGP's 268th free international webinar, and thank you so much for joining with us in this wonderful session. Once again, I am your host, Mr. Rian P. Qualing from Aklan, Philippines, and I will be in charge for tonight's activity. I am a senior high school mathematics teacher of Baton Academy National School in the Department of Education, Division of Aklan, Philippines. And it is a great honor and privilege to be in IGP as one of its consistent webinar hosts and, of course, to be one of the 1,000 active members around the globe. I am happy to welcome you all in this Institution of Global Professionals free international webinar, and I hope everyone will stay active to participate in our activities later, especially in our IGP quiz and question and answer part, for you to have a chance to win an e-certificate in the IGP quiz. And before we continue, you may like and comment while our webinar is going on. Please tag, share, and mention your friends in the comment box so that we can be able to share with them the knowledge that our speakers will impart to us tonight. Because I believe that in this virtual world, we can watch together and learn together. The events and activities that IGP provide to us, dear participants, are proofs that pandemic does not just bring challenges and difficulties in life, but also it offers a lot of opportunities for us to learn and grow professionally. For the new members, let me give some backgrounds about IGP. IGP stands for Institute of Global Professionals, and it is an ISO education institute. It is an ISO certified education institute and has certified trainings and webinars. And the logo is reflected in the e-certificate that each participant will receive after attending this session. It is recognized internationally and globally accredited to more than 100 countries. IGP is a leading online skill development institute with thousands of learners worldwide. IGP serves the world communities by providing holistic social work in education to help build a world with a strong foundation of education and life skills. IGP gives opportunities accessible for every knowledge seeker to gain mastery of skills, to develop personality, to become more goal oriented, to strengthen confidence in facing any circumstances in life, and to enhance skills by inviting great speakers and professionals from other parts of the world. The organization believes that skills development is not only gained through a formal education. So, IGP offers free international virtual training and consultation to young professionals who are willing to learn, improve, and embrace changes. And of course, IGP organizes webinars trainings, both offline and online courses, with the best and highly trained speakers and coaches from all corners of the world to create a best learning platform for all of us, dear participants. So before we continue again, to our dear participants, please share, tag, comment, and mention your friends in the comment box and encourage them to join us in this social learning platform of professionals. Just such simple act serves as your support to our organization. Moreover, participants who attend this free international webinar will receive an certificate that they can use or you can use in the future. Today, we are presenting the 268 webinar entitled Printed Mobile Illustration, and we have two speakers from the Philippines who will give us more ideas and insights regarding the topic. Meanwhile, dear participants, you can take down your questions and queries about the lectures that they will be presenting tonight. And later on, we will have our question and answer part where you can address your questions to our dear speakers. Now it's time to start our program. And without a longer description, we have our first speaker for tonight, Ma'am Donalyn S. Oliveros from the Philippines. Ma'am, good evening.
Hello, sir. Good evening. Hello, everyone. Sir, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, ma'am,
Hello,
loud
sir.
and clear.
Okay, so once again, hello everyone. So before anything else, I want to know how happy you are right now. And I have this with a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being not so fine, and 5 meaning extremely happy today. Please type your answer in the comment section. And there, let me see if you're typing your answers. 1 being not fine, and 5 meaning extremely happy today. Okay, so thank you so much for those who responded. How I hope that this webinar will contribute to your happiness. So, sir, am I sharing my screen already? Not yet. Ah, there. Okay, so let me be sharing my screen first. Okay, sir, can you see it now? Hello? Hello, sir?
Yes, ma'am, it's already
Okay,
presented.
you can see it. You can see it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, once again, my warmest greetings to all the participants of this webinar. I am Donaline Sanchez Oliveros, a licensed secondary public school teacher of Subic National High School, Zambales, of course, Philippines. At the same time, I am an illustrator, a graphic and layout artist of the department. And before I present to you my topic, I want to first sincerely express my gratitude to the Institute of Global Professionals for giving this great opportunity to be sharing my knowledge, not only to my co professionals, but as well as to our friends who are preparing themselves on becoming professionals too. So, once again, thank you so much, IGP, and those people who are behind this IGP. So, I would also like to give recognition to our school's division superintendent in Zambales, Dr. Romeo Alip, and at the same time, my principal school, Subic National High School Principal 4, Madam Bernadette Umayam. So, it is my privilege to present to you my topic for this hour, the things to consider in illustrating DepEd printed materials, which may be adopted by your friends from private educational institutions too. So this is not exclusive for public schools teachers only, no, here in the Philippines. But if you don't have yet the standards for illustrations in the printed materials that you're working with right now, you may wish or you may adopt this. Okay. So after this presentation, you, our dearest participants, should be able to, of course, what are the objectives of this? First, define illustration, and you should be able to identify the categories of illustration, be familiar with the purpose of illustration, and acquaint yourselves with the DepEd guidelines in illustrations, especially those who are here in the Philippines. So, how I hope that you will stay with me until the end of this webinar. So, let's begin now with the definition, of course, of illustration. So, illustrations include line drawings, photos, charts, graphs, diagrams, and all types of graphics created for interpretation or visual explanation of text, concept, or process included in published learning resources. So, there's quite a difference between an artwork and an illustration. So an artwork are based from emotion or mood of an artist so that you will not be mistaken. So while illustration serves a purpose for the reader. In illustration, we do not focus only in drawing. We may have pictures, once again, just like what is flashed on the screen, charts, tables, which may be included in our reading materials. That is the definition of illustration based on DepEd guidelines. So next we have here the categories of illustration. So we have two categories of illustrations. So first we have the traditionally drawn art, which refers to the illustrations that are created by hand on paper using pencil, pen, or similar drawing tool. So these were the things that we used for our illustrations before. But since we are advancing in technology, of course, same as with our printed materials, we have the second category of illustration, which is the digital or computer drawn art, drawn by hand on a computer using Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop, Corel Draw, and other drawing software. So I know that those illustrators joining us at this moment knows a lot of software, no? So nowadays, these are the in-demand softwares, the Photoshop, the Adobe Illustrator, and Corel Draw. These are in-demand softwares for making illustrations in learning materials. But we cannot neglect the use of the traditional arts since not all illustrators are equipped with these softwares that I have mentioned. Although their traditionally drawn outputs will be enhanced, of course, using modern drawing technology too to fit in our modules. So these illustrations have purpose in our learning materials, and let us find out the purpose of illustrations. Of course, we have first is to attract attention or get the learner's interest. So learners nowadays are more on visuals or are visual learners. Their interest will be attracted if they can see a lot of illustrations in their materials that will lead or help them to learn more, right? So an illustration could have a decorating picture, book and magazine with a picture. So usually with a picture, so it makes the readers more interested. In another way, if there is no picture or illustration, I know you will agree, it will be boring and less inviting for people, especially our learners nowadays who are really visual learners. So, next purpose of illustration is, of course, to guide or give the learners information they are looking for. Illustrations simplify the data. It break up text, right? Supports the narrative. So just like in this example, instead of putting a lot of words to give instructions, it is simply being explained by the illustration, which is a way better to understand and follow instructions, right? So I know you will agree with me that illustrations are a must in learners' material nowadays. Okay, so another purpose of illustration is to clarify or explain text information for better understanding for our learners. So, also, we have another purpose of illustration, which is to elaborate or give more detail about the text. So, it emphasizes key points, visualize informations, and it broadens our knowledge on the content, just like what is shown in the slides. So next, of course, one of the main purpose of illustration actually, especially nowadays, as I have mentioned a while back, is to provide option for readers who learn visually. So according to study, majority of our students nowadays are visual learners, of course, with the exemptions of our beloved students with special needs. Okay, so we will proceed now to the guidelines in illustrating DepEd books and modules. So once again, this is not exclusive only for DepEd teachers, dear participants. You may adopt on this standard also. So we have here guidelines in illustrations. We have first, use Filipino character in illustration if the subject is a person unless specified. So based on the Bureau of Learning resources, I think even not basing on that, I think all of us would agree that once we are making learning materials, it is inevitable that we will promote the love for our own country by which the character or illustrations in our materials would be based, right? So we will be promoting our own nationality, of course. So, but of course, there are always exemptions to the rule, which it will depend on what the content or competency is asking. If there is a need to illustrate a Japanese or whatever nationality, so be it. So we just have to follow the content made by our writer. And of course, it should abide with the competency needed. And next, we have here use line art illustration in single color. By the way, the guidelines that I am discussing right now is just focus on the drawing illustrations. Though I have mentioned that you may use photo illustrations, that I will not discuss. I will just focus on the drawing illustrations. So there should be no shading effect other than hatching, cross hatching, and stipple shading shall be applied. So why line art drawing? Well, we all know line art drawing is the basics of drawing. It is simply made out of lines. So, for our materials to serve their purpose to our learners, the DepEd suggests line art since it is simple and very clear, right? So, if we want to have solid effects in our illustrations to make it more realistic, we may use cross hatching as shading. And other kinds of shading techniques will be discussed by the next speaker. So hang on there. So we have here the steps in making illustrations. First, we have here the sketching, outlining, and of course and of course shading to make our illustrations more attractive and more realistic. Okay, so moving on. Next, we have the placement of illustrations should be carefully planned. You know what? Working hand in hand with the team that builds the module is very important. So for us not to cause confusion to our learners, it is a must that graphic artists or illustrators know the size of his or her illustration. At this point, graphic artists must work closely to the layout artist. That is why it requires exquisite planning. Okay, so here's an example actually of one of DepEd findings. I actually illustrated this, but I was not the one who layouted this one. Okay, so it was credits to Sir Brian Balintek if you are watching right now. So he was the one who layouted this, and this is the correct one, of course. This is just an example of um, an illustration not accepted or didn't pass the BLR or the ADM standards. Okay, so at this point, you can see the illustration is too big, right? So this is not right. Unlike this one, so it should fit. It should not. Okay, it should not get all the spaces, or yeah, it should not get all the spaces in the learning material. Okay, so the illustration here is not actually so needed, but just to conform or comply with the BLR standards, an illustration is added, and this should not be this big. So we should follow the standards. Anyway, later I'll be giving you the proportions or the number of illustrations to be used in different grade levels of learning materials. Okay. So moving on, we have here all illustrations should fit within the print block of the manuscripts. So all print must remain legible after being reduced to fit. So I know that you can see clearly the illustration here, right? So even though it is stretched or what, you can still see it clearly. Since most of the manuscripts are A4, illustration should not be bigger than the manuscript standard size. And there is actually a margin set. If you are a layout artist, you will know this. It must have correct proportion and visible illustrations. So just like this, there's still space for the learner to answer or to describe the illustration given there. Okay. So next, we have here illustration should be original, excuse me, simple, clear, free of clutter, and suitably proportioned, right perspective, and recognizable illustration. So We must refrain from putting lots of unnecessary decorations, for it might cause confusion to our learners, of course. It must also be recognizable and not microscopic, just like the given example here in nature, for it loses the purpose of illustration. So once again, it should not be microscopic, for the illustration is of no use. Next, we have here illustration should be appropriate for the learner's age and grade level. So as you can see on the slide and on the example given here, our learners are categorized based on their age and ability to learn, so as our illustrations. Each illustration must be age and level appropriate. For kindergarten and grade 1, DepEd allows colored illustrations. On the other hand, grades 2 to 12, line art is advisable. Okay, next, crop illustrations properly. So when cropping an illustration of a person, especially, avoid cropping in the joints like hips, neck, shoulders, knee, and elbow. So to present clear illustrations, we must refrain from inappropriate cropping of a person, not to represent amputees, right? So this may offend them if you will not abide with the standards or the guidelines in illustrating. So next, we have here for lower grade levels, bigger images are preferred to smaller ones. Learners at these levels are highly visual in their interest of knowledge. So just like what is mentioned a while back, learners are classified according to their age and learning ability. Lower grade levels require larger images to attract the lower level of learners, since majority of them are visual learners. So illustrators may use a cartoon style to attract lower level learners. Okay, so next we have here illustrations should adhere to the DepEd social content guidelines. So our illustrations must be anchored to the DepEd's core value. We all know this, Filipino teachers, makadiyos, makatao, makakalikasan, at makabansa. And we should follow to the DepEd social content guidelines. We have the Filipino learner and the teacher, the Filipino nation and Philippine society, of course, gender sensitive, citizenship and social responsibility, individual and social identities, media, technology and communication, health and safety, environment and social institutions. So, next guideline we have here, use flatbed scanner for manually drawn illustration and a handheld device for scanning like cell phones, which most of the illustrators are doing with built-in camera and scanning application do not produce quality scan. So here's why. So why flatbed scanner is required? Because with this, we can manipulate the resolution of our illustrations, especially those let me emphasize those manually drawn illustration. If you manually drawn illustrations refer to illustrations that are drawn directly on paper and not with a tablet or compute what do you call this, yeah, pen tab. Okay, so if you use or illustrators use paper and okay, what is happening? Okay. Okay, so why flatbed scanner? So because with this, we can manipulate the resolution of our illustrations. The minimum resolution of our image must be 300 pixel per inch if it is in raster based to avoid pixelation. So we should avoid the use of scanning application using our mobile phones, for the resolution of our illustrations will depend on the pixel size or capacity of our cell phones, unlike using flatbed scanner. So if you don't have any flatbed scanner, so for the illustrators, it is wise actually to invest on pen tabs. Okay, next. We should maintain high definition illustration for color or black and white and apply solid. Oh no, what is happening? Sorry. And apply solid black ink lines uniformly in all parts of a line. So just like on what is seen on our slide, we have colored grayscale and outline drawing. So if you would notice, our illustrations have the same line weight, and that is the standard of BLR. Okay, so next, preferably, illustrations are not boxed or framed. So take note of this, dear illustrators and also layout artists. If frames are necessary, make sure these are consistent in thickness, which 1 point black solid line. So boxing and illustration has a separate purpose, which will be discussed later. So you will know when to box and not to box the or frame an illustration. Later you will know. Okay, next. So the subject of an artwork should be illustrated facing toward the gutter of a page. So the horizon line should not divide an illustration into two. It should be placed either closer to the sky or the landscape. So if you would notice, Jose Rizal is one of our subject in this page is facing the gutter of our module, right? To lead, this has a purpose. It's to lead the reader to focus more on the content of the module, which is called some kind of psychological effect of illustration. So we also have our Muslim friends as a subject. So the first two are facing the gutter, with the exemption of this illustration. Of course, the third one, with the exemptions of this, can you see the mouse pointer there? With the exemption of that one. But still, the main subject is facing towards the gutter, while this singing little boy is suggested to be facing the gutter too. We should also avoid placing illustrations at the middle, for it will be folded and the appearance of the image will be divided. Um, Take note, we are making actually a book, so we should not be placing images at the middle. So it's a no. Okay, no. Now, so illustrations should be placed near the text they refer to, um, to which they refer, to help learners draw the right interpretation about them. So, this is the labeling of our illustrations. Illustrations must be placed close to the text they refer to so that learners can easily understand. We also put captions beneath the images that learners cannot easily recognize. So that's the purpose of putting captions. If you think that the picture is not that easily recognizable by the learners. Okay, moving on, we have to in if we are to inject motion in the illustrations, okay, especially when the activity is described in the lesson. So as seen in these examples of motion illustrations, um, show step by step or the series of action done by the subject. So look closer to the illustration, to the given illustration. Okay, so it shows step by step or series of actions. So it has an impact to the readers, right? Okay, next. To unify artwork, illustrator must apply compositional techniques or approaches, such as rule of thirds, just like what is illustrated here, and then the rule of the odds and rule of space. These techniques create a feeling of comfort or ease or an illusion of movement for the artwork. And then moving on, illustrations of a process involving separate steps or actions should have at least as many individual pictures or frames. So, just like what is mentioned a while back, there are illustrations that need to be in frame, Just like this process text illustration or procedural illustration, this is where we use the framing. So once again, this is where we use the framing for the procedural illustrations. So if you have noticed the previous slides about the folding of origami, the illustrations are framed. So it is here. Okay. So you can use framing once again if it is procedural or step by step. Next, we have here the image aspect ratio is preferably 3 by 3 is to 2. So 3 for length and 2 for height, or vice versa. So 3 for height and 2 for length. Both numbers represented a relationship, not a specific measurement. It can be inches, centimeters, or centimeters. So if you use it, for example, 3 centimeters, your height should be 2 centimeters, and so on. So in case we are tasked to draw large images, we must follow this aspect ratio. Okay. So that is why it is very important that illustrators know um, the size that he or she will be illustrating. So next, do not mutilate the face, the file, the illustrations of the Philippine flag. So not to center the attention on the Philippine flag alone, I know that even in other countries, you do not want this thing to be done in your national flags, right? So we all love our countries. So as our national symbols such as flags. So we should avoid drawing this kind of concept. Okay, moving on. So we have here, do not overuse or recycle an image or illustration. Properly crop an image or illustration and do not amputate, just like what is mentioned a while back in the previous slide, an image, especially if it is an illustration of a person. So, once again, do not amputate an image. So, cropping actually depends on the layout artist. So, just like what we have mentioned on the previous slides, illustrators as well as the layout artists must look closely on the images that they crop, especially if it is a person. And regarding the overusing or recycling an image or illustration, there should never be repetition of illustrations in our modules. So once again, there should never be a repetition of illustrations in our modules. Take note, illustrators may use the same faces or the same model but in different angles. So to make variations in our modules. So once again, illustrators may use the same face of the model but in different angles. If the model on the first page is facing in front, so use other angles. Okay. So next, this is quite technical. So when vectors are not used, bitmap images should have a baseline resolution of 300 pixel per image. The only exception is in the case of small bitmaps or raster images, or the one by one or less when the resolution should be higher. So if we say vector images, so this is quite a technical term, ne? For the images, that maintain its clarity. So vector images are images that maintain its clarity even if they are stretched. And on the other hand, of course, bitmap or raster images or low quality images pixelate or lose the crisp of the line when stretched. That is why if we are making this kind of images, we should set it and abide to this guideline of using the minimum of 300 pixel per image. So for those um, for those participants who are not illustrators, the pixels are the squares that made up the images of lines in our illustration. So there are illustrations that are too small, for example, the one by one. It may be set to 500 ppi or more to maintain the quality of the image. allow me to share an example of, okay, allow me to share an example of pixelated image. This one, I actually made this and I didn't use 300 ppi. So this is just 150. If you can see, um, I know you can see this. It is pixelated, right? So you can actually see visible pixels here. Okay. So unlike compared to this very small image, the logo. So this one, okay, wait. This one, even if it's stretched or zoomed, still the crisp of the line is there, right? Okay. So continuing with our with my slide. So how I hope that you understood that one. Okay, moving on. So we have here the files of types or format of an image and illustration should be PSD, AI for editing, and JPEG or PNG for printing. So JPEG and PNG are the image file format that we paste in our documents. So for those who worked on the module materials, especially during this time of pandemic, no, I know that you know this. While PSD and AI are examples of file extension where we may create the image or illustrations, but there are layouting software like the InDesign where you can easily export images in PSD or AI directly. But since most of the modules and books are done using MS Word or MS Publisher, images must be in JPEG or PNG form for printing. Okay, next, another technical side of illustration or of illustrating. Okay, so the image mode of the artwork should be in CMYK or cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. So why? We all know that most of our printers are in CMYK color mode, right? So to make a comparison, RGB screen is the default color of our digital devices, our laptops, and so on. So, however, our printers are set in CMYK mode. So, that is why we must set it into the same color mode as our printer so that the images that we are editing will be the same as the hard or printed copies. So, once again, our image mode of the artwork, if we are editing it in PSD or in Adobe Illustrator, we must be setting it up in CMYK. So next, excuse me. So maintain consistency of the style of illustrations throughout the whole book. So artists have different styles. For example, in the hairstyle of the illustrations of persons, some artists are using full black style, some use hair strand style. So this is my illustration. So I use just a line style, and this one uses full black style of hair. So there are a lot of styles which will be discussed by the next speaker anyway. So what the department is emphasizing is that we should have the same style all throughout the module. So that is, if we use stippling, so later the next speaker will be discussing this. If you use stippling on your first illustration all throughout your module, it should be stippling. So there should be no other variation or no other variation in style when it comes to style in the illustration. So next, so we are almost done. So downloaded from the internet should be, or so downloading rather, downloading from the internet should be avoided because they are low in resolution. They may look good on a screen but not in print. They may also be copyrighted. So just like what you can see here, it has watermark, right? So most of the images that you can download in the internet has that. So that is why the DepEd's BLR suggests that we as illustrators must draw our original artwork. We must refrain from downloading it in the internet. Okay, so here's one of the one important thing that illustrators must consider. So we have here the art to text ratio. So for the kinder to grade 1, we have 65% art and then 35% text. Grade 2, 60% art and 40% text. Grade 3, 50-50. Grade 4, 40% art, 60% text. And for grades 5 to grade 12, lesser art. So 30% and the text is 70%. So I would also like to reiterate and emphasize the number of images to be present in the learning materials must follow must follow the specific levels of learners. Okay, so for a copyright notice, I have here the references. I use the Handbook on Creative Art Management, DepEd BLR, and the Alternative Delivery Mode Learning Resource Standards by Master Jason O. Villena. So we use this here in the Philippines as standard. So once again, thank you so much. How I hope that you benefited from this presentation. And if you do have questions, just feel free to type it on the comment section. So once again, this is Donalyn S. Oliveros, Subic National High School teacher from the Philippines, of course. Yes, sir?
Okay, thank you so much, Teacher Dawn from the Philippines, for sharing your expertise in
Yes, sir. Am
creating
I too
illustrations
fast?
for module printing. It is another skill that each. No, it's fine, ma'am. Okay,
Thank you.
so it's another skill that each educator can learn to further improve their own learning modules, not only during this pandemic education, but even beyond this pandemic education setting. So, to our dear participants, let
Yes.
me share some notes about the discussion of Teacher Dawn. Of course, she discussed to us the reason why we have to use illustration in the module. Number one is to attract attention. Number two is to attract attention. Because most of our learners nowadays learn visually. Okay, illustration simplifies the data, and illustrations help to explain and clarify the text. Okay, another one is it elaborate more details. Okay, she also discussed some guidelines, and here are some of the notes that I have. Number one is efficiency. Next, lasting effect shall be applied. Next, it requires exquisite planning. Then, inject motion to show the step-by-step actions, step-by-step process. The image aspect ratio of length and height must be 3:2. Okay, another one is do not mutilate, cut, or deface any national flag. Properly crop the image or illustration. Do not delete any image or illustration. Baseline resolution of the bitmap images is it is resized to bigger images. Okay, images must be saved in JPEG or PNG format. Another one is to maintain consistency
PNG.
of the style. Then the most important one to all illustrators must draw their own artwork and avoid downloading in
Yes.
or from the internet. Okay, once again, Mom Don, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Okay, Mom, please stay for a while because we will still have our question and answer part later.
Okay, sir.
Okay? So
Yes, po.
again, dear participants, you may have your own takeaways, but for sure we have something in common. We both have learned something tonight. So let us now proceed to our second speaker. Our second speaker is still from the Philippines, and let us all welcome Ma'am Abigail M. Lumalo from the Philippines also.
Yes, hello, sir. Thank you for that. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and to all participants of this webinar. So, I am Abigail M. Lumalu, a licensed senior high school public school teacher of Jesus F. Magsaysay High School, Iba, Zambales, Philippines. So, like Miss Donna, I am an illustrator, graphic, and layout artist of the Department of Education here in the Philippines. So, before I start, I want to sincerely express my gratitude to the Institute of Global Professionals for allowing me to share and impart my knowledge not only to my fellow Filipino professionals, but also outside the country who are watching right now through YouTube and Facebook, through their YouTube and Facebook account. And last but not the least, to my very kind principal, Ma'am Gina R. Borge. So once again, thank you very much. So let's go to my topic. Have you seen, are you seeing my presentation now, sir? Oops.
Not yet, ma'am?
Oh, mhm, sir. Now, sir. Are you seeing it now, sir?
Yes, ma'am. It's in the screen already.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. So, my topic is about principles of line art drawing for modules. So, let's begin. So, our objectives first is familiarize with the basic principles of line art. Second, apply line art drawing concepts and module illustrations and illustrate using line art drawing. Next, sorry. So what is line art drawing? So line art is defined as the act of creating an illustration using basic strokes of varying weights and angles that demonstrate form and depth. So line art can use lines of different colors, although line art is usually monochromatic, so it is a black and white only, usually what we use in our module. So line art emphasizes form and outline over color, shading, and texture. Next. Okay. So why line art drawing? So line is one of the most fundamental elements of art. So this is um, so why line art drawing? Next, line art was at once the standard format for illustrations to be used in print publications using black ink in on white paper. So using either
Hello,
a
ma'am.
stippling. Yes, sir.
Hello, ma'am Abi. I
Yes,
think your slide is not moving.
not moving, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not moving. Maybe you can present it in a slideshow.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, sir. Mm-hmm. Wait, sir. How about now, sir?
It's not yet presenting, ma'am.
What's happening here? How about now, sir?
Yeah, it's already okay.
Okay. There. Is it moving now,
Okay.
sir?
Please open your PowerPoint, ma'am.
Yes, it's open now, sir. I'm sharing it now, sir. Is it okay now, sir?
It's not presenting, ma'am.
Why?
Okay, it's still loading. Okay. Okay, it's
Loading?
okay now, ma'am. Okay. Okay na po.
Okay na po, sir. Okay, sir. So I'll
Okay.
begin at the top, sir. So once again, my topic is about principles of line art drawing for modules. So again, our objectives: familiarize with the basic principles of line art, apply line art drawing concept on module illustrations, illustrate using line art drawings. Next, what is line art drawing? So line art is defined as the act of creating an illustration using basic strokes of varying weights and angles that demonstrate forms and depth. So line art can use lines of different colors, although line art is usually monochromatic. Again, it is use only black and whites. And next, line art emphasizes form and outline over color, shading, and texture. Next, why line art drawing? So line is one of the most fundamental elements of art. Line art was at once the standard format for illustrations to be used in print publications using black ink or white paper. So using either stippling or hatching, shades of gray could also be stimulated. Next. So characteristics of lines drawing. Here, uh, I created is this in the word draw so we can remember it easily. So what are the characteristic of lines? So we have here the direction, rhythm, angularity, weight, and style. So draws, we can easily remember it. Characteristics of line. So what are these? So direction. First, we have the horizontal line. Next, vertical line, diagonal line, curve, perpendicular, parallel, and oblique. So as you can see, there's also the drawing. There's also the picture that you can see what kind of lines are those. Next, what is horizontal line? So, oh, sir, hello, sir.
Ma'am Abby, sorry
Yes,
to interrupt you, but
I've
your
kinabahan
slide
ako.
is not moving still.
Again? Oh, sorry. What's happening?
Yes, ma'am.
Still not moving, sir.
Yeah.
Why? Why? How about now, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir? Is it okay now, sir? Not yet. Nothing yet. Why? How about now, sir?
Not yet, ma'am. Not yet.
Oh, what's happening?
Can you move your to the next slide, ma'am? See?
There, sir. Is it moving now, sir?
Okay. Already working, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, it's already working.
Okay, so let's
Okay.
proceed to horizontal line, sir. Or should we begin again? Or continue with the horizontal line? Okay, so here, continue with the horizontal line. So horizontal line is a straight line
Your camera
as we
is
can see
off,
in the
ma'am.
picture. Oh, sorry, sir.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Good luck, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Sorry for the interruption. Okay, so again, for the horizontal line, it is a straight line that suggests rest, sense of motionless, balance, calmness, and repose. So you can imagine what the horizontal line is as we show it on the slides a while ago. Next, we have the vertical line. So here in a vertical line, it suggests force. It also conveys height, strength, and stability. So next, diagonal line. So here also, as you can see in the picture, leaning on the right upward force movement or improvement. If it's leaning on the right, so right upward, it emphasizes force movement or improvement. But if it is leaning to the left downward, it the movement is decline or movement or decline. It also shows lack of stability. Next, the rhythm. So here, rhythm we have uh, calm or relaxed, insubstantial, and irregular lines. So I'll show you some of the samples that shows calm of these three. So we have here the rhythm. So the calm and relaxed. Once we draw, it shows the calmness of the drawing. So we can see the lines as I have shown here on the first slide and then here on the next slide. You can see or you can feel the calmness and also the relaxed. Next, insubstantial. So it is the lines is not totally connected with each other. It has, or we can say it has a broken line. So that is unsubstantial. So as you can see the picture, you can feel or you can say something about the picture. Um, what do you call this? Um, some kind of illusion or something that you will find or imagine what is in on the picture. Next, the irregular. So here, the irregular rhythm or the irregular lines can show different kinds of emotions. So you have there the calmness or the anxiety, or it's a kind of confusing line, but still it can show some kind of expressions. So next we have the angularity line. So angularity line convey actions, excitement, restlessness, and anxiety. So why this conveys these actions? Because as you can see here on the outline, we have different kinds of edges. So angularity having one or more sharp angles that conveys also anger. So you can see when you're angry. So you can show it on the picture or on the drawing. So angularity line also conveys danger, safety, solidity and permanence, and the organic. Next, the weight. So weight is it's the ability of an element within a composition to draw attention to itself. It is also a powerful concept that allows us to create visual hierarchy, symmetry, balance, and harmony in designs. So it suggests emphasis. So curved uniform thickness, curve that becomes fat, and then curve that slims. So next, here in the picture, you can see the thin lines and the thick lines. So it emphasizes its what do you call this? It draws attention to itself. So here also the drawing of on the picture, you have the thin and the thick lines. So by using the width, the weight lines, so you can create or make more realistic pictures for your illustrations. So also we have the line tapping or line taping. So here you can see we have here the red circles, as you can see. And then compared to the second pictures, the lines of becoming slim to fat. So that's the line taping. So it's not, unlike the first picture, it's obviously on the uniform line. So if you want to become more creative, more realistic, more fun of your illustration, you can use this. So drawing is not only just to draw, but also to have fun, expresses your feelings, your emotions, and to show more creations. So we have the style. So in the style here, we have the solid line, the broken line, the dotted line, the brush stroke, and the textured. So what are these styles of lines? So we have the solid line. So solid line, it has connections between one or more points. As you can see, it has the straight lines where pictures are connected between one another. Next, we have the broken line. So broken line represents something in temporary or transitional state. As you can see, next, we have the dotted lines. So dotted lines, it is used for tracing for elementary. If you would notice, some elementary or those students in the nursery, they use the dotted line to trace the picture or to guide the learners to trace the picture so they can learn how to write it properly. So as you can see here, the broken line and the dotted line has the same uh, meaning, but they are just different with their shapes. So the broken line had the flat lines, and then the dotted line is has a dot. That's this. So next we have the brush stroke. So what is the brush stroke? So it can help, sorry, it can help to draw textures. The visible brush stroke speaks of intent, confidence. In other words, the strokes are deliberately and bold. So as you can see here on the picture, it can help draw texture, or it can shows or emphasis more expressions of the artist. Next, we have the textured. So the textured is the way something feels to the touch or looks to the eyes. Example, the roughness. The softness of a drawing can be feel of the picture. As you can see here, we have here the rope. Even without touching the rope, or you can still imagine, but even by looking at it, you can feel that the rope or the drawing is rough. Also, on the second picture, you can feel just by looking at it, you can feel the different kinds of texture of the drawing. So there's a smooth, there's also some kind of bulky, if you can see it, or yes, you can see it, but you can't feel it. So that's what the texture uh, emphasize. So perhaps you want to give your drawings or illustrations a sense of believable form and three-dimensionality. Here's how. So first we have to do the lines. So we have here connections, connecting the lines. And then we have the hatching. Next is the cross hatching. So as you can see here, what is the hatching and what is cross hatching? So you will also use this for your illustrations once you make your modules. So important note, so here, use line art illustration in single color. So as we said before, as we said a while ago, that illustration is a monochromatic colors. It only use black and white. So no shading effect. No shading effect other than hatching, cross hatching, and the steeple shading shall be applied. So what are those? We can discuss it in our next slide. Sorry. So there is a wide range of values starting from lightest lights to a wide range of mid-tones to darkest darks that give a subject a sense of three-dimensional form, or what we call the 3D. So Here, let's try to pinpoint the different values in between the lines and darkness in Giorgio Moran's etchings. So here, just by using outlines, using some hatching, you can still emphasize your drawing. You can still use, sorry, you can still show or emphasize your drawing. You can darken and lighten the pictures that you want. So we have here on the first picture is still life with 5 objects. Then the next is still life with pears and grapes. So you can see just by using monochromatic lines, so monochromatic colors, just the outline, we can still emphasize our drawing. We can still show our expression, our emotions, and we can still create realistic drawing. So next, we have the value strip. So here also, this is what the artists use. So what are these value strips? So seven different shading techniques. We have the parallel hatching, cross hatching, contour hatching, stippling, thick hatching, moving hatching, and spreading. So first, we have the parallel hatching. So here, as you can see on the drawing, it consists of rows of parallel lines placed closely together. So it's some kind of a shading, but it is parallel hatching. Next, again, it is in a parallel lines placed closely together. Next, contour hatching. By the way, contour hatching, contour by the word itself, the French word contour means outline. So it is a French word. So is an artistic technique used in the field of art in which the artist sketches the style of a subject by drawing lines that result in a drawing that is essentially an outline. So you can see, as you can see here, sorry, you can see here in the drawing, the flow of the lines. So the contour, you can emphasize which do you want to show or which do you want to give more uh what do you call this, you want to give more pictures. Next, stippling. So here stippling is some kind of a dots. So for darker areas, you apply a greater number of dots and keep them close together. Then for progressive lighter areas, use fewer dots and space them farther apart. So by using this stippling, you can create pictures or you can draw with uh, different areas. I mean, you can create pictures, you can create lines by using this style or using this stippling where you can show where do you want to put some darker areas and where do you want to put some lighter areas. You have just to close together the dots or the greater number of dots to keep it more darker. And then the other one is to make it lighter, is to make it the space of the dots or the fewer dots, space them apart, farther apart. Next, the thick hatching. So if you will notice, if you will notice here, the line or the shadow of the hands. Wait, I'll show you first. Here, if we will back here in the parallel hatching, we can see it is light. The shadow or the hatching is light. While here on the thick hatching consists of very short parallel strokes or tick. We have just the tick, 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 tick. So it can also be the shadows of your illustration, but it's not totally the what you call this the total shadows of the picture, but it is the hatching. Next, woven hatching. It also the kinds of lines that you can use for the drawing. Oh, sorry, the picture here. Anyways, so use a short sets of parallel marks in one direction, then an adjacent group of parallel marks in an almost perpendicular direction. So you can see it is not also used for the hands here, but also here on the second picture. This some kind of woven. What do you call this? The mat. Okay, the woven wooden mat. It when you draw the wooden mat, that's the kind. It is a woven hatching, but what is a woven? So it is again uses short sets of parallel marks in one direction, then an adjacent group of parallel marks in an almost perpendicular direction. Next is scribbling. So here is scribble is a drawing composed of random and abstract lines. As you can see here in the drawing, the trees or the leaves of the trees. So it is made of scribbling like a Christmas tree and then form to each picture, form to a desired picture. So that is the scribbling. So if you want to try, so if you want to try or make some illustrations, you can also try this or um, follow this link to practice. So here is my references. So from Erica Lanster, shading technique, hatching, cross hatching, scribbling, and others, and also in YouTube. So before I end my presentation, I would like to share to you my simple phrases here. A simple line painted with the brush can lead to freedom and happiness. So, an illustration, a line art drawing is not just by making a line. It also by leading to your freedom and happiness as you draw, as you use those lines, the directions. It not only putting those lines, but also giving you freedom to create some kind of drawings that you want or just instant uh, you didn't notice that, oh, I created this uh, without expecting out of your expectations. So again, a simple line painted with the brush can lead to freedom and happiness by Joan Miro. So again, that's my presentation. I hope you have learned something. And thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Ma'am Abigail Lumalo from the Philippines. Thank you so much, Ma'am Abby, for sharing to us the principles of line art in drawing in modules. As we all know, drawing is really a talent and a skill. So, for all the educators with this talent and skill, you can use it to help our dear learners understand their modules. Let me share to you some of the notes that I have based on the discussion of Ma'am Abigail. Number one, illustration. Drawing is not only about creating artwork, but also must adhere to the concepts that an illustrator wants to convey. The skill to make images clear and better looks must be accompanied with creativity on how concepts be explained using these images. Okay? Another one is using the principles discussed by Ma'am Abigail, the illustrator can be able to create an artwork that is appropriate and fit to the thought that the text emphasizes. Another one is techniques and principles can be applied to create an artwork that is standard based. Okay, so once again, thank you so much, Ma'am Abigail Lumalo from the Philippines. Please stay, ma'am, because we will still have our question and answer later.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So after this competition, once again, ladies and gentlemen, let us give virtual applause to Ma'am Abigail Lumalo from the Philippines. And let us now proceed to the quiz competition for tonight's session. And we will start our quiz competition after this video. Okay, so welcome back to our program. And again, we are encouraging everyone to join our quiz competition. Okay, so to our dear participants, please participate for you to have a chance to win an e-certificate for this IGP quiz. The link for the quiz is posted in the comment section, and you may use the code to join. The code is all caps IGP quiz. Again, all caps IGP quiz. You may also access the quiz competition by browsing www.slido.com. You can join directly even without downloading this Slido app, or even without an account in the Slido But for your convenience, it is better that you download the Slido app so that you can easily access the IGP quiz. IGP will give an e-certificate. Again, you can access the IGP quiz by clicking the link in the comment section. Then use IGP quiz. Okay, so we now have some of the names flashed on the screen. We have 58 participants at this moment. Okay, so for the meantime, let me read some of the names randomly. Maria Angelica Sedanza Gonzaga, Maria Fe C. Guerra, Marivic C. Clavesilia, Jason S. Humang, okay, Dennis M. Canonizado, Romel John C. Aquino, Rosmoline Russell, Jeffrey A. Salem, Crispin Llano, Eglantina Sheho, Jason S. Humang, okay, Noemi R. Resmilla, Marina D. Catubo, Marigold Alog, Roma Abing, Leah Facunla, Mark Joey Pacheco, Charles Kaiser, A. Vidal. Okay, we have 63 participants at this moment. Okay, we have 64. Okay, so the first question. This is the image mode to be used in your illustration. CMYK or BRWG. Okay, the correct answer is okay, CMYK. And 73% of our participants got the correct answer. Okay, for sure, these participants really listen to the discussion of our speakers. Okay, Feruz Akbarov got on the number one spot in question number one. The image aspect ratio is preferably 5 is to 3 or 3 is to 2. What do you think? Let us see who will get the correct answer. Okay, 43% versus 57%, and 57% of our participants got the correct answer for question number 2. Let us see who is on the number one spot. Feruz Akbarov is on the number one spot for the question number 2. Okay. Question number 3. This is the grade 2 art to text ratio. 60% to 40%, 65 to 35%. What do you think? And the time ends. Let us see. Okay, the correct answer is 60 is to 40%. And 79% of our participants got the correct answer. Okay. And we now have Romuald John C. Aquino on the number one spot for question number three. This is the grade for art to text ratio, 60 to 40% or 40 to 60%. Let us see. Okay. The correct answer is 40 is to 60%. And 88% of our deep participants get the correct answer. Okay, Peruz Akbarov on the number one spot for question number four. Okay, this is one of the purposes of illustrations that intend to explain text or information better, clarify, or to guide. Okay, three, two, one, and the time expires. And let's see who got how many got the correct answer. And 69% of our dear participants got the correct answer. The answer is clarify. Okay, we still have Peruz Akbarov for the number one spot in question number five. This is one of the purposes of illustrations. Okay, I think there is something wrong. Let's go back to the quiz competition. Okay, this is one of the purposes of illustrations to intend to get learners' interest, elaborate, or attract attention. The correct answer is okay, to attract attention. And 86% of our dear participants got the correct answer. Okay, Feruz Akbarov still on the number one spot with 6 out of 6. This kind of illustration is suggested for grades 2 to 12. Colored illustration or line art illustration. What do you think? Okay, the correct answer is line art illustration, and 63% of our dear participants got the correct answer. Okay, and we still have Perus app. Okay, number 7 is Lizelle A. Gabaldon on the number one spot. Illustrations should be appropriate for the learner's age and grade level, need, and culture. Let us see. Okay, the time expires, and let's check. The correct answer is according to the age and grade level, and 97% of our dear participants got the correct answer. Let us proceed. Okay, and we still have Rizal A. Gabaldon on the number one spot for question number 8. Illustrations should adhere to the DepEd's guidelines, a mental content or social content. Okay, the correct answer is social content. And 46% of our dear participants get the correct answer. Mas marami ang kamali. Okay. And we have Lizelle A. Gabaldon on the number one spot. Okay, this is the last question. Which of the following is not true about line art? Line art can use lines of different colors. Line art can use shading aside from hatching. Okay, so line art can use shading aside from hatching, and 51% of our dear participants got the correct answer. And we have the top 10 participants. Let us see who are the top 10 participants, the updated list of top 10 participants who won this competition. Okay, so for the number one spot, we have Lamberto S. Pilatan Jr., 10 out of 10. Number two, we have Feruz Akbarov. We have on the number three spot, we have Lizal A. Gabaldon. Number four, Melinda C. Hispano. Number five, okay, I can't see the list of the winners. Okay, I think there is a problem with the leaderboard. Okay. By the way, if you are using the Slido application, your rank is you will already see your rank. Okay. But let us announce the names of the winners. On the number four spot, we have Melinda Hispano. Number five is okay. So by the way, congratulations to our winners for the quiz competition. Okay, I was not able to read all your names from top 5 to top 10, but if you're using the Slido application, you are already notified on what rank are you. So, congratulations still to our winners. Sorry for I cannot be able to uh, recognize you. I cannot be able to announce your names. Okay, so you can search for our Facebook page and look for the latest post so that you can be able to see your certificate. You can be able to see and download your certificate. Your e-certificate is posted in our Facebook post. Okay, in our Facebook page. So once again, congratulations to uh, win this competition. For the non-winners, just keep joining to our IGP quiz in every webinar session. We still have a lot of webinars coming, so there's a lot of chances for you to win in this quiz competition. So just keep joining. Okay, let us now proceed to the question and answer part of our webinar. If you have any questions or queries in mind, please do not hesitate to raise your hand and we will be able to answer them immediately. Okay, so our dear participants, You can now type your questions on our Facebook page or in our YouTube channel on the description or in the comment section, so that and of course address it to our speaker. We have two speakers for tonight. We have teacher Don Oliveros and we have Mom Abigail M. Lumalo, and they both from the Philippines. Okay, so we have the first question from Sir Feruz Akbarov. To teacher Donnaline, is it safe to download pictures from the internet that do not have any watermark on them and high resolution, good enough for printing? Is there still a risk of copyright issue with such illustrations? Ma'am Don?
Okay, so actually, sir, there are a lot of pictures that do not have watermarks. Yes, you're right with that. And yes, they do have higher resolutions too. And your question is there still a risk of copyright issue with such illustrations? Of course, sir. Of course. And we're focusing on my topic with drawing illustrations, sir. It is encouraged that we should have our own originally drawn illustrations. Though, if we are to talk about the photos, it has copyright issue, sir. Yes. There still be a copyright issue.
Okay, so you're saying, ma'am, that if you want to become an illustrator, you have to create your own artwork.
Yes, sir. We should be creating our own original
Yeah.
illustrations, of course, or drawings.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Sir Feruz Akbarov, for such a wonderful question. Okay, another question is from Manolita Ramas Oligo. For two DepEd speakers, okay, what are your thoughts about the Philstar report that Cordillera lawmakers filed House Resolution 1552, which condemns the erroneous
Mhm.
portrayals of Igorots in DepEd, self-learning modules being used in the Philippines educational system? Okay,
Okay.
who
Sir,
wants
I would,
to? Okay, Ma'am Don. Okay.
yes. Sir, actually, I would like to commend Madam Manolita Ramas Oligo. She's actually from Cebu. So, hi, ma'am. Ma'am, you're very commendable when it comes to being updated with the latest news about DepEd's distribution of modules or the use of modules, ma'am. But with this, what are your thoughts about the Philsar report on the Cordillera? Sorry. It condemns the erroneous portrayals of Igorots. Mom, I guess this isn't reviewed. Maybe there is something wrong with the evaluation team for um this area. So I we all know that DepEd is still, or the distance learning here in the Philippines is still a work in progress. So there are a lot of things that we should be still working out, but there are standards set by the BLR that we should abide. So it's not actually the Department of Education that is to be blamed, but I guess it's a matter of choice for those who are participating in the writing or creating the modules, that they by themselves should abide first on the standards. So we teachers, there are a lot of rollouts, orientation and workshops in creating modules. So only if we will abide on those standards, I guess this should not be an issue. So let's just pray for the goodness of the DepEd.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ma'am Don. Okay. You want to add something, Ma'am Abigail?
Nothing, sir. Just like what Mom Donna said, it is. I think it is also what do you call this? Maybe overviewed by some evaluators, or yes, the creators of the modules, or the writers, or the illustrators, graphic artists, or layout artists must abide the guidance that has given to us to prevent this kind of issues, sir. So maybe like Mom Donna said, this is need to be reviewed again, or need to have an strict evaluation also. And yes, remind our writers, remind our creators again to please um, uh, be reminded again of our guidelines to prevent this kind of issue in uh, or in the next publication, or on the next creating of modules.
I Sir,
Yes,
also
ma'am.
we would like
Yes,
to
yes,
thank
ma'am Donna.
IGP. We would also like to thank IGP for giving us this chance, of course, to reiterate the standards, especially for us illustrators. So please do abide with the rules that the BLRs gave us.
Yes, yes, the EDLAR.
Okay, so thank you so much, IGP, for having this
Thank you so much,
opportunity.
IGP.
Okay, yeah. Okay, and I also I also heard that news about this, and
Mm.
maybe there's just something occurred that we
Yes, sir.
can
It's
that is out
actually
of our hands already.
yes, yes, sir. So there.
Okay.
I actually mentioned, sir. I actually mentioned about the social content that we should abide, that we should
Mhm.
look over on the social content guidelines that was posted or given by the BLR.
Okay, so maybe this discussion can help inform all our illustrators, our graphic artists, and the module makers who that the modules that they will be printing in for the future use. Okay, so let us proceed to the next question, still from Mom Manolita Ramos Oligo, for both depth ed speakers. After Cagayan de Oro, schools had orders module reviews. Does
Mm.
this means that all depth ed schools
That
will
is thus
follow
this.
through?
Thus,
Oh, does. Okay.
Yeah,
After Cagayan de Oro school head orders module reviews, does this mean that all depth ed schools will follow through?
I'm not
Okay.
actually familiar, sir, with this issue. I'm so sorry. I'm quite outdated with the issue about this, but I don't think that all DepEd schools will follow with this kind. But actually, sir, in our region, in region 3, we are, although we already have published some modules, we are actually um what they call this, reevaluating the published modules that we gave. There is reevaluation, sir, but the distribution and the use of module is still on progress, I guess.
Okay. Okay. Ma'am Abby, you want to add
yes,
something?
sir. Yes, sir. So for Ma'am Manolita Ramos Oligo, does this means that all DepEd schools will follow through? I think no, sir. No, because as we have mentioned a while ago, so we have to abide the guidelines, and also no one want to follow the first mistake that have done already. So that's why we have organized and evaluators for creating the perfect modules to be distributed to every students and to every school, sir. So
Okay.
that's all, sir. Thank
So so the re-evaluation of modules.
There is
Okay. So
such
thank you
thing,
so
sir,
much,
that
speakers.
is yes, sir. Okay.
Okay. So let us now proceed to the next question.
Naglalag siya.
Okay. A question from Ma'am Merafe B. Timbang. Do you have any easy tips for us teachers who are not illustrators but willing to learn so as to avoid copyright? Does it mean that only talented illustrators like you can do illustrations?
I,
Okay, sir. Sir, for the easy tips, actually, some of my co-teachers, this is one of their practices. Um, for those teachers who are not given a talent for drawing and are willing to, if I am not mistaken, ma'am, do you have any tips for us teachers who are not illustrators but willing to learn? At least you are willing to learn. That means there's a want that you want to learn how to draw, right? So, but it's quite confusing. So, as to avoid copyright, sir, there are actually available images. I guess in the DepEd Commons that are free of copyright issues that teachers can download freely. But if you wanted to learn how to draw, ma'am, actually, ma'am, we all can be illustrators. It's just that it varies in style, diba? So also, mommy, you can start from simply drawing it manually if you really want to learn how to draw, and from there, what this is a very common, right? So practice makes perfect. So if there is really an eagerness to learn, there will be a way that we will learn. So practice, ma'am, using manual drawing first. Yeah, paper and pencil that will do.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ma'am Don. Or maybe you can pair with other teachers, right, Ma'am, who
Yes,
are
sir.
really good in doing that
Yes,
particular
yes po.
illustration.
But her question is that she's willing. She's willing to learn.
If she's willing, yeah.
Yeah. If
So
there is a
that
will,
is,
there's a way.
yeah. Okay, so let's have. Thank you so much, Ma'am Merafe B. Timbang, for that questions. Okay, let's
I,
proceed to
sir,
the
hello.
next question.
Sorry.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes. I would like to add to Ma'am Donna's suggestions. So if
Okay, ma'am.
for the question, sir. So if mom, who's the if mom
Ma'am
wants to
Merafe.
yes, sir. To Ma'am Merafe, if you really want to learn illustrations, you can use. Can I share some tools, sir? With
Ah, yes,
uh,
Mom Abby is good with this.
tools. So you can use Ibis Paint. As you can see, sir, on my slides, I there's my picture. I illustrated it using the Ibis Paint. So you can use it there. You can use the Ibis Paint, ma'am. You can trace your picture there. So whenever you want to create your modules or you want to make an illustrations, you can you can capture some pictures and then put it on the Ibis Paint, and you can trace like the discussions a while ago on our presentations. We have different kinds of lines. We have the tracing, the broken lines, the dotted lines. So you can use it. You can use it in Ibis Paint to create your own illustration, sir. So if you really want to be an illustrator, you can capture pictures and then put it on Ibis Paint. Ibis Paint is the some kind of Adobe Illustrator. You can use it on your cell phone also, ma'am. So you can learn there. You can create your own illustration and put it on your module. That's all, sir.
Yes.
Thank
It's
Okay.
actually
Thank you
sir,
for sharing, ma'am.
sir, can I add something on the IB's
Yes,
paint?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am Don.
Yes, ma'am. It's actually a tracing, right, Ma'am Abby? It's a tracing app or software
you. Yes, ma'am.
for example, you cannot draw exactly, but you can trace actually using that app. So that is a good,
Yes.
great help for those who
Yes.
wanted to be an
It's a good
illustrator.
start to use
Yes.
for your
Yeah.
module, for
Thank you.
your
Thank you,
illustration.
Ma'am
Okay.
Abby, for that. I forgot
Welcome,
that one.
ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, ma'am. You give us hope, like me, because I am not being blessed with
It
such
is a
talent like
very
that.
useful, sir. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, so let's proceed to the next question. And we still have a question coming from Mom Manolita Ramos Aligio, a very
Yeah.
active one participant.
Yes, sir. She
Okay,
has
so
lots of
for
questions.
for both DepEd speakers, educator Antonio Calipo Go resource person in a hearing conducted by the House Committee on Public Accounts revealed that a module used by grade 10 students contained the word beep beep, a vulgar term that refers to a sexual intercourse. Why is this found in the DepEd self learning modules?
Sir, as I have mentioned, this is overlooked by the evaluators, or maybe this module is not evaluated properly. Or, and also for the writer of the module, I guess there should be a revisiting or revisitation of the social content guidelines given by the BLR. Once again, this is not that connected with our topic that we discussed this hour, but I guess that's the answer, ma'am. That writers should be the first one to abide with the social content guidelines given by the BLR to avoid such issues.
Okay. Okay, Ma'am Abby,
Um,
you want to add
just
something?
none, sir. Just the
Okay,
same with Mom
so,
Donna.
okay. So, the keyword there is we have to abide with the standards,
Yes, sir.
with the content standards of the the DepEd, of
Yes,
course.
sir.
Okay, so let's have another question from our participant. Okay, we really commend our participants for sharing their questions, especially
Especially Mama
although
Nolita.
yes, Mama Nolita. Every time I host, I observe that she is
Yeah,
very
she's very
active.
active na, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So let us wait for question from the other participant. Okay. Okay. So we still have another question from Sir Michael Kevin Menor Garcia.
Oh,
How would a reliability and validity test done on the DepEd module? How would reliability and validity test done on
sir,
the
I
DepEd
guess,
module?
yes, sir. Sir Michael, sir, I guess this depend or it's on the hand actually of the content evaluators. So it's not as illustrators, it is not our job to
Yes,
do the validation of the test given on the modules for the students. So it is basically on the hands of the content evaluators and also, of course, the writer.
Okay. So I think in every district or in every division, there are that set of people
Evaluators, yes,
who
sir, no?
are, yeah, set of evaluators who are checking and validating the modules that will be given to the learners, or before it is being distributed to the learners. Okay, because it is their job is very important, and because the content, if we are go if just imagine if we share a wrong concept on that particular module, it we are multiplying a wrong concept. So it is very sensitive, and I think
Yes,
the
sir.
evaluators really played a vital role in securing
Definitely,
the
sir.
yes,
reliability and
sir.
validity of these modules. Okay. Okay, so I think that was the last question that we have for tonight.
Yay.
So once again, thank you so much, Mom Donaline and Mom Abigail Lumalo from the Philippines.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so
Thank you
much
so
for
much, sir. Thank you, IGP, once again.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, and also all the participants.
okay. Thank you to our speakers, and of course also to our dear participants who freely ask their questions, because sometimes we are sharing the same question. So we are learning also from your questions. Okay. Okay, so let us now proceed to the announcements of IGP. Okay, so let us now go back first to the list of the winners of our IGP quiz. Okay, just to recognize the names. Okay, for the number one spot, we have Lamberto S. Pilatan Jr., 10 out of 10. Perfect. Very good. Number two, Feruz Akbarov. Number three, Lizelle A. Gabaldon. Number four, Melinda C. Hispano. Number five, Naong Latan. Number 6, Romel Jansi Aquino. Number 7, Mian Kate Villanueva. Number 8, Dennis James. Number 9, Lucina T. Robignol. And number 10, we have Nico Den S. Miro. Okay, once again, congratulations to our winners. The top 10 participants in our IGP quiz that was conducted a while ago. Okay, so let us have the announcements of the webinars, the upcoming webinars of IGP. Okay, so we are now on the 268th free international webinar entitled Printed Module Illustrations. Okay, of course, we have two speakers for tonight. We have Donnaline S. Oliveros and Ma'am Abigail S. Lumalo. To our dear participants, we saw that at this moment you feel difficulties with using the website. We noticed all the things and working on it, which is we found out that it is not our problem, but still our technical team is already working on it. Thanks for your patience. For the certificate, please collect the certification link and certification code at this moment and try it in your free time. We saw that it occurs when lots of users wants to join our website. This is a temporary problem with our hosting provider. Again, thank you for your patience and we are sorry for that inconvenience. Okay, so we have our code for this session entitled Printed Module Illustrations. The code is all caps IGP 3210. Again, all caps IGP 3210. Always remember that without this code, no one is eligible for any certificate. So with this code, you can claim your certificates anytime in our website. So you can now take a screenshot or you can write it down in a piece of paper and keep it so that you can be able to download it or you can be able to download your e-certificate at any time you want. Okay. And of course, another important announcement is that you have to create an account in our website because without an account on our website, you can still visit, but you cannot do anything functionally. So, to our dear participants, we are encouraging you to have an account so that you can be able to be updated to what are the upcoming webinars of IGP and some other benefits that IGP gives to us as participants of these webinar sessions. Again, we have the code all caps IGP 3210. Okay. Okay, so if there is no other webinars, so before we end, let us have this short narration. Do not let this pandemic hinder your success to grow. Never allow it to stop you from achieving your dreams in life. Instead, let us look at the positive side and think of how we can be able to adjust and adapt with the changes brought by this pandemic. Remember, it is through pandemic that we were not able to interact physically, but it is also through this pandemic that we were able to learn how to utilize these different learning platforms to connect and communicate with great people in the whole world by having webinars like this for free. And of course, brought to you by IGP. There are many things to be thankful for. Thank you for everyone, and thank you so much, IGP. We hope to see you again in the upcoming webinars. So stay happy and stay safe, everyone. Once again, from Aklan, Philippines, I am your host, Mr. Rienjon P. Qualing, signing off.